You can't beat the classics.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of the You Can't Beat the Classics podcast. So, for this podcast here, you're going to be hearing us talk about a classic movie of our choosing. There's a lot of movies to choose from every couple of weeks. But reason I wanted to start off with this one, actually, let me introduce who I'm with first. So, I'm John. I'm going to be here, every 2 weeks alongside me, Sam, the man, the SLB. And then joining us is our very good friend, and she's just as big of a fan of the franchise as any of us. Charlene's here with us.
Hello.
What's going on, guys?
Doing good. We're super excited to be here today. Is Sam frozen?
I'm not frozen. I'm just, I'm here. I'm existing. Nature finds a way.
Sam is channeling his inner Jeff Goldblum at the moment.
I just can't. I can't like lay down like this the whole podcast though. Sprawled out on a table.
But this is a big movie, I think, to start off with. The main reason I wanted to start off with this one is because, Jurassic World Dominion is, trending right now, which is still a year away, but they're already starting to push that. So I thought, you know what? Why not go back all the way to 1993 and start with Jurassic Park?
Yes, always a classic. Fun fact, I was actually terrified of this movie when it first came out. Full disclaimer, this movie came out before I was even born.
Yeah.
And I watched it at a very, very young age, having lots of cousins. One of my closest cousins, actually, this was his favorite movie. So every family party would have this movie playing. And let me tell you, until I was maybe in high school, I hated it. I refused to watch it.
Wow.
I was terrified of it. I would hide at the second that dinosaurs came on screen. I was not for it. But then I guess I had some weird change of heart, and suddenly it became my favorite movie. Still is my favorite movie. I know the Jurassic World series is out right now, and I enjoy it, but it's not the same. You can't beat the classics, just like the podcast with.
I want to start off by saying, I've seen this movie. I can't tell you how many times. I definitely saw it when I was little. We will get deeper into, the parts that were horrifying. But
yeah,
the movie that's 28 years later, not many movies, especially when you deal with a movie that heavily uses special effects, not many films hold up like this. Not every film is going to be Star Wars. Not every film is going to be Jurassic Park. This one, again, I watched it again last night to refresh it, and boy, classic hasn't nudged. Doesn't look dated.
Right.
Yep.
One of the things I was thinking about going into this, and as big of a movie as Jurassic Park is, I can't remember the first time I watched it. I don't know if it was just an age thing or what, but I'm like, I know it stuck with me at some point, but I can't remember when. But do either of you guys remember the first time you saw Jurassic Park?
For me, it's also kind of a blur, like I mentioned before. I just remember being traumatized by it so much that even now when a certain scene comes on, I know we'll talk about this a little bit later, I still feel the feelings that I felt as a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old. I'm pretty sure I've been seeing it before I had a memory. So I definitely remember it from having a memory. So probably around 4 years old or 5 years old.
I think I'm with you guys, but I was not little. I do remember. I'm gonna go back ways here. I do remember my parents had the VHS tape.
Yeah, we did too.
like the logo is iconic. Like, we want to talk about probably top 10, if not top 5 most iconic movie logos of all
Yep.
time. Like, it just sat there, and we never watched it at a young age. I was probably elementary school when I finally did see it, which didn't make it any less horrifying when I did.
Like, I wasn't scared of it, really. I think I loved dinosaurs growing up too, and I think what dinosaurs were already a big thing, you know, as humanity has discovered them and everything like that. But Jurassic Park coming out, I think, just cemented like dinosaurs like into like pop culture like forever. Like, I think it was already heading that way, and then Jurassic Park just came in and was just like boom. Like, it really set up a franchise here.
I also think it was just so different for that time period and
Yeah.
so technologically advanced. If you talk about the animatronics, this is like the most real dinosaurs you will ever see in a movie at that time. And even now, it still holds up really well. I still remember a lot of these dinosaur movies were people in these giant suits. So it looked
Mhm.
way too animated. It looked like it was definitely not an actual dinosaur. But I'm pretty sure the animatronics in this movie were so great that I was convinced that it was real and that dinosaurs existed and they were gonna come kill me in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So,
This movie's just a really nice mix of animatronics and CGI for that time, which is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Like, the animatronic stuff we'll get into as we go along through the movie. Um, One thing I like to do before this is, like, we should watch the trailer for the movie, which I've never seen before. Like, or maybe I have, but I was just at a really young age. But that's one thing I like to do for these. What I want to start doing is play the trailers really quick. So let's watch the trailer for Jurassic Park really quick. Well, again, I don't think I've ever seen this.
There it is. Welcome to Jurassic Park. We've made living biological attractions so astounding that they'll capture the imagination of the entire planet.
The most phenomenal discovery of our time
Trailers were so different in the 90s.
becomes the greatest
Yeah.
of all time.
Can I touch it?
Sure.
Universal Pictures presents
You feel that?
Hold on to your butts.
a Steven Spielberg film.
Senses are failing all over the place. Yeah, that's nice. Gotta go.
An adventure
I can't get Jurassic Park back online.
65 million years in the making. Jurassic Park.
Trailers were a lot different back then.
Yeah, it's a lot less like boom, crazy cinematicness and whatnot. It's kind of like a quick story rather than visual effects,
Doesn't really
bam,
doesn't
bam,
really
bam.
share much of the plot either, which is nice. Which I find, I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of trailers these days show so much of the movies, but this doesn't.
well,
Yep.
again, going back to 1993, it's funny. I just did a podcast a couple weeks ago with one of my other shows, and we talked about, do you know what movie came out the week before this movie came out? I want to see if you guys can guess this one.
1993.
It literally a week or two before this came out, which is, I think, a part of the reason why this movie bombed.
Ah,
Again, before I was
that's
born.
that's not a year that I'm like entirely familiar with film. Which one was it?
That would be the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh my god.
So you look at what the tech was with that movie, and then you see something like this, and even that trailer, you don't see a lot, but you see enough to go, shit. Like, what am I what am I about to witness here?
Right.
Yep.
But I think let's get right into it. Let's get right into the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's already starts off tense. You know, they're trying to transport the raptors, and they have like They have like 50 people guarding these things because of how dangerous it is. You know, they're just trying to move the raptors, but obviously that goes very wrong, and it costs a guy's life.
Yeah. I just really enjoyed that slow build to the beginning of the movie because there's no dialogue in that
Yeah, not a
section
lot.
until one of the most iconic lines.
Are you thinking the exact same one I'm thinking of?
Yes, you know,
Shooter.
Shooter!
Well, you know what was going through my head through that scene? It was like, you noticed how nobody had guns. They all had tasers because
yep,
I was like thinking in my head, I'm like, so, like this is for the guy that was about to die from a raptor. It's like, sorry guy, this raptor is way too expensive to kill off.
yep.
Sorry. All we can do is tase him.
It's funny. Every so often when I'm hanging out with my older brother and something happens or something, me and him will randomly scream that line. Random.
Shoot.
Yeah.
This movie's that's like first few minutes and it starts off with a line like that in a movie that like already has a lot of like one-liners.
Yep.
There's a lot in this movie.
That's what I really enjoyed about that like build up though, because at first it's quiet, it's just like music and, the hustle and bustle of moving these dinosaurs. But then right away starts off with a great line that's just easy to remember and and it's funny and it's kind of like that comic relief from the fact that somebody's about to die.
Yeah, kind of, it just gives you like that crazy line and you kind of like, I guess you kind of overlook the guy getting killed by the raptor
Yeah.
in a way. But yeah, it already starts off really tense, but then you jump to I think they're somewhere in Montana next, where the paleontologists are digging up
The dig site.
the dig site. They're digging up the bones. I want to say it's Montana, but I might be wrong on that.
All right.
Um,
So that scene actually, watching it again recently, was one of the first scenes where you see John Hammond in
yeah,
his business person role. When I was younger, I remember John Hammond is the reason that Jurassic Park exists and all these dinosaurs are here.
yep,
And I'm like, wow, he's really great. And then now as like an adult listening to his conversation, trying to like convince them that this is a good idea is like, wow, John Hammond is kind of an asshole.
yeah. What's another one thing interesting thing about him is like I couldn't think of a better actor to play John Hammond than Richard Attenborough.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that he had been retired from acting for 15 years.
Oh wow.
And then they convinced him to come back for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, thank God that he did because like his role in the movie is just like, I mean, there's so many great actors in this movie, but like I think John Hammond is one that, a lot of like fans, I guess like fans of dinosaurs remember as like the guy.
Yes, like he definitely had that iconic look to him. You could remember him and like frankly, I don't know him from anything else. Makes sense that he had been
Yeah.
retired for 15 years. Um but it's kind of just I can't imagine it being anyone else.
The only person I could make an argument for, potentially, and again,
You
this
know
is
who
potential.
you know who they considered, Sam? They actually considered Sean Connery for this role.
Huh,
That
I
could
don't
interesting.
be.
Welcome to Jurassic Park. I don't know if I can hear that in my head.
He's walking out with a couple of women from this bedroom. Welcome to Jurassic Park. No, I'm thinking of what's his name from Silence of the Lambs. There, Hannibal Lecter. Uh,
Oh,
Oh God. What the heck? What the hell is his name?
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony
That's
Hopkins, that's what it is,
the
yeah.
only person I could potentially make an argument for, but
But like the character of John Hammond ended up being so like memorable to me that like I remember like um we went to my family and I went to a local zoo at the time and they had like the big like dinosaur attractions, like all the animatronic dinosaurs and everything like that. There was a dude that was cosplaying as John Hammond, but I was at such a young age that I thought it really I thought it really was John Hammond.
That's incredible.
And I asked him about Dilophosaurus, and I asked whether or not he like really had the frills and he spit out that like goo
Hmm.
and everything like that, and he explained to me how that they actually were, and they actually didn't do that.
Oh, really?
That was actually something they created for the movie.
Hmm.
But it's just so crazy that like that stuck with me.
Yeah.
I think that I really met John Hammond, even though I probably didn't.
I mean,
But
I guess this guy was pretty good at playing John Hammond to actually know more about dinosaurs.
right, he was just doing a really good job, or I was just too young.
he was so concerned about whether he could. He didn't ask whether he should.
Right, but 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 yeah, he just stuck. It just stuck with me. Well, another thing about that when they're doing the dig site is like I don't know what goes on like with paleontologists. There's a lot of people just standing around,
See you, Ninja.
and then I was like this the kid that just says that doesn't look very scary. I'm like I'm like who invited this smart ass kid to this dig site?
I mean, if you think about it, fossils themselves aren't really scary because they can't move or
But
breathe.
but then Dr. Grant ends up scaring the crap out of him. Like, hey, so show some respect there.
Oh man. But yeah, I feel like that scene is definitely one probably that I've like skipped over in my mind and memory, and it kind of only happened again once I rewatched it because there's so much that happens once they get to the island.
Yeah. Yep. Um, but then we meet Dennis Nedry. And you know what? You know those like those actors that you know them from something totally unrelated, so like they're always like that name. Like he's
Hmm.
always Newman to me.
Yeah.
Even in Jurassic Park, I'm calling him Newman.
Newman.
But and then he's working with Dodgson.
Dodson.
We got
Dodson's here.
Dodgson.
Don't call me that in public.
Yeah, which one thing with this movie is like I didn't really follow the dialogue at a young age.
Mhm.
But you know now when I rewatched it, I was paying attention to it a lot more. Um, it helps. It opens the movie up a lot more because I think a lot of this movie was definitely exposed to like probably mostly kids
Mhm.
when it came out. But so now I was able to dissect it more, and it made it even more enjoyable for me watching it as an adult.
Yeah, kind of like I mentioned before, you see a whole different perspective as an adult than you do as a kid. Because when you're as a kid, you're just like, oh my gosh, dinosaurs, awesome, scary, cool, wow. And then, like, as an adult, you're like, wow, this is just like
It's a bad
very
idea.
capitalist.
Yeah, it's like yeah, this dude's sneaky. This Dennis Nedry.
Yeah, yep. And, like, it is interesting, though, watching that first meeting scene between him and Dachshund because, like, it's just like so awkward. I don't know any other way to put it. It's just so awkward. Like that dynamic is awkward. Like
I'm
the
meet
jitteriness is
uh,
awkward, but then they're in like a public space
I'm meeting a guy that's giving me a bottle of shaving cream in Costa Rica.
I
for
mean,
embroyos.
don't you do that? I mean, that's how I get my shaving cream.
Yep.
Uh, and then they're on the helicopter heading to the island, and we get our first. We meet we meet Dr. Ian Malcolm for the first time, and every actor I think is awesome in this movie, but like Jeff Goldblum, it's like, come on,
He's a whole nother level.
oh my god, this I love his character. Not even his character. I mean, I just love Jeff Goldblum from from everything he's been in.
I mean, his personality in this movie too is just incredible. He is super smart and he's super like intelligent, but he will give the sass right back to you. And he always has these great one-liners and has this has this aura to him, I guess. That's an odd word to put. That
Yeah.
just like lightens everything up no matter what's coming out of his mouth.
Another interesting thing is that I didn't realize this the 28 years that this movie has been out, but you notice the way that John Hammond and Dr. Ian Malcolm dress? They're reflecting totally different sides of the of how they feel about like the idea of Jurassic Park.
Yep.
So you have John Hammond's wearing all white, Dr. Ian Malcolm's wearing all black. That was intentional.
Huh.
So like John Hammond is the
Impressive.
one that's like, really his ideas, he's in it for, we spare no expense. So like he's in this for, like the financial part of it, attracting people. Dr. Ian Malcolm is like on the side of science, saying you don't even realize how wrong this is.
Yeah.
Or like what exactly you're doing. I never realized that until the other day, that they had done that intentionally.
That's really cool. I did not know that.
It's clever. It's very clever.
Clever girl, you could say.
Clever girl.
um, they're arriving at the island, and then you hear that theme for the first time.
Oh, such a beautiful theme. And let me tell you, John Williams creates so many masterpieces, but that is the ultimate masterpiece. And just that feeling that you get watching the movie over and over again, no matter where you are, too, like whether you're watching the movies because it's in every single one, or if you're at like Universal Studios and on the ride, the feeling of seeing the gates and hearing the song just has this like powerfulness to it that almost feels like otherworldly.
And then they see the dinosaurs for the first time, and then you get that other cue for a theme, and then you get obviously the famous line from John Hammond, which I think is stuck in everybody's minds now. Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Yes. Also, can we just talk about that scene when the dinosaurs first appear? They're in a big open field with these giant dinosaurs.
Yeah.
How do they not notice them earlier on?
Very true.
I know it's for cinematic appeal, but it's just so funny watching it again and being like, oh my gosh, dinosaurs. They're so huge and it's right next to you. How did you not hear it?
Also, they're traveling now to the park and it's out in the wild compared it's inside the park. It's you know what I'm saying? It's like not even like on the ride part. It's like, oh yeah, we got some stragglers hanging around here. Yeah, cool. They're right there. But I'm going to show you the ones in the park.
It's like I feel like they just let the herbivores let loose, I guess, and I think you could probably like drive near them pretty safely, I guess.
That's fair.
And then I guess all the carnivores are the ones that are locked up, and you like, no, do not go anywhere near these things.
Yeah,
that might have been the idea of it. I mean, I think the park was still in the works because like obviously they brought Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler and everybody there for their approval to get the park open.
Yeah.
So I'm sure everything was probably in the works. But yeah, it's just, I don't know how they didn't see those dinosaurs.
But
now,
also,
oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry, I was gonna say, but this is also the scene where they like see a sick dinosaur for the first time too. And I mean, spoiler alert, it's kind of that first sign of this is more than they think. Like, Dr. Ian Malcolm says, this is like the science is not supporting what they believe is going to happen here.
He really, like, Dr. Malcolm, like, really gets that, like, he knows how wrong it is when they, like, go into, like, the genetic lab and, like, see exactly how the dinosaurs are made.
Yeah.
And, like, they watch the video and all that. And, like, Dr. Wu is, like, talking about how they, they use frog DNA to finish the DNA that they extract from these mosquitoes.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is, like, Dr. Wu is only in the movie for, like, 2 minutes. And, like,
becomes a main character in the Jurassic World series.
He's the one that they bring back as, like, a villainous, like, kind of figure in Jurassic World.
Yeah. Because he's allowing it to happen.
I think they wanted to play off that, like he's like the kind of guy that's like, I'm right, like, and this is how, like, I know this will work, and like I think that's what they wanted to capitalize on with Jurassic World.
Yeah.
But like, nobody's listening to Dr. Malcolm. He's like, life finds a way.
Life finds a way. Yeah, and that's like when they're talking about how, and like that comes back around when they're talking about how all dinosaurs are female, and that's tree, and we learn later on that tree frogs can change their gender, well, their sex when.
I'm like, you have a park with the best scientists in the world, but these scientists don't know that some frogs can change sexes, and this is what you use to make the dinosaurs?
Yeah, like you'd think they'd look into that a little bit more. But also, Alex, my husband, was talking about the scene too when we were watching it. Why didn't they just make them all males so they couldn't get pregnant regardless? Like they made them all
true.
females. the one sex that can actually bear children.
Right, and then later on in the movie they realize, oh, these dinosaurs are reproducing. Whoops.
Yeah.
They visit the raptor, like, pen, and I'm like, wow, they have the raptor in such a small enclosure. I'm like, and then, but the hunter guy, I don't remember his name. He's one of the characters we just don't remember his name.
Robert.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Robert? Okay.
Robert.
Yeah. I just know him as, like, the clever girl guy. But yeah, he's explaining, like, how much of a problem the raptors have been, and like this one that they keep here is like the big one. It like gets me confused, like, towards the end of the movie when the raptors start to appear. I'm like, wait a minute, how many raptors are on this island? I think you kind of get mixed up a little bit. Because you, like, towards the end, you see, like, I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but you see, like, one's locked up, one's, like, in the freezer. You get confused. That was one of the things I got confused on in this movie.
How many are there?
So I learned that InGen, they made 26 raptors on Isla Sorna. So that's the other island that they have. They brought 8 to Isla Nublar, which is this island.
Yeah.
They made the big one, which is what the hunter references mostly in the movie, and that's the one that's in the pen.
Mm-hmm.
The big one kills the other raptors except for 2 of them.
Okay.
So you're left with 3 raptors for the entire movie.
Okay.
But I feel like that was the only part of the movie I really needed, like, clarification on.
You know,
Wait,
that's even something I wouldn't even think of. Yeah.
Well, I mean, as cool as it is to see all these dinosaurs and everything, I'm like that. You kind of learn like, yeah, they're right. Like, this is probably not a good idea.
Yeah, ethically and morally, probably not the best idea. And then safety wise, like these are ancient creatures. Like, have you clearly they haven't been researching them long enough in this like genetic form that they're able to see like how can you properly contain them? Because
Yeah,
to be fair, they're breaking out of everything and everywhere. Like, what is this raptor enclosure that you have if it can like easily break through metal? You know?
Especially when they're testing it. They're
Yeah.
checking, and because I remember they're in the raptor enclosure, and they're like, yeah, they keep looking for weaknesses. So at some point, even with that park operational, those were going to get out.
Oh, 100%.
yeah. They're like these things are way too smart. Like these raptors are opening doors.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
but
velociraptors are known to be very smart. So that's why we think our corgi is part velociraptor. They have very similar personalities.
He looks like one too. So
Yeah.
just as dangerous.
Oh,
But
100% with sharp teeth.
but now they're starting. Now they're starting like the tour part of it. Like they're starting the part that most of the visitors potentially of the park would start to see.
Yep.
So I guess it's time to hold on to your butts.
Samuel Jackson's in this movie. Every time I watch this movie, I forget he's in there.
Yeah, I do
And then he
too.
shows up, and you're like, yo, my man, my main man.
And you forget even he's got the one-liners in this movie.
And he's
Yeah.
a tech guy. He's not even the action guy. He's the guy behind a computer. Like,
Right.
he's a
I
great
just
addition.
love the way he looks at Dennis in those scenes where like Dennis is trying to be all like, "Oh, do you want soda? Because I'm gonna go get soda because I need a salty snack." And Samuel L. Jackson's just like, "You okay? Like, you good?"
Yeah. Well, like Dennis with his like the messiest workstation I've ever seen in my life. It's like no wonder he had eyeballs on him all the time.
Oh my god, he's insane.
I realized he was drinking. You know what he was drinking in the movie? Maybe Sam, you remember this? Jolt.
That's what he's drinking.
He's
Okay.
drinking Jolt Cola.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But he literally like cans and bottles all over the desk. I'm like, I would never let my desk get this messy.
But you know what? There's a lot of movies like that, and I've seen some people's desks like that. Why? That's a whole other discussion for another podcast. But
I mean, also it's kind of just building up this character without really giving him too much time because it's like, wow, this guy just seems like he's sloppy and like probably not going to get very far and probably pretty desperate and like not very liked by others because
Yeah.
he's like this outsider character. I mean, that's a whole different, again, like Sam said, a whole different podcast on like how they decide to portray him, but it's like
Yeah.
just how they build up his character and kind of give him a preconceived notion that like, oh, he does not have his life together and he's probably like a weirdo.
Yeah, and he's getting ready to sabotage this whole park
Yeah.
without anybody knowing about it.
let's
But
let's
like,
let's think about this for a moment. I want to have a group exercise, as we call them in college.
yeah,
Somebody pays you what was the figure, 75,000 or something like that, and you have to compromise a system to a theme park on a remote island so you can get a bunch of embryos and then escape. Is that worth the money if something
No.
goes wrong?
No.
I would say it's. Are you saying like like 75,000 is what they would like pay him to do it?
Well, he gives up. Well, that's why he shows up and he meets the guy on the island.
Oh,
He gives
that's
the
what's in the.
bag.
That's how
Yes.
much. Is that how much is in the bag?
It was something. It was either 75,000 or 750,000.
It still was not in the millions.
Yeah.
Oh no, that ain't worth it. No,
No.
I ain't
No
doing
deal.
that for less than $1 million.
Yeah, no. Okay, I wouldn't do it for less than like 50 million. Because if you're thinking about this, like one, there's all the cost of getting to the islands and, the stress and anxiety of transporting embryos. These aren't just like feathers. These are literally living embryos. And then, you have to get off the island. There's going to be a bunch of people on your back because you're working by yourself. And then what's going to prevent you from getting caught later on, because obviously only a handful of people are allowed on this island.
Yeah.
And if one guy's missing, everyone else knows who did it.
Also, back to the movie, you could get killed if the things get out. So, I mean,
Well, like he purposely, how he purposely leaves the raptor enclosure. He doesn't open that
Yeah.
because he knows how dangerous they are.
Yeah.
But like, the one thing he overlooked, according to his like master plan that he had, he didn't expect the massive hurricane that was about to roll through the island.
Yeah, that too.
And he does about as good driving as anybody
but
on the
we're
road that I see.
but we're off the coast of Costa Rica. This is rainforest weather.
Yep.
He should expect that. He should have expected that.
But like before he gets to the embryos, like they're all going through the tour in the jeeps, and
Mhm.
like they're seeing no dinosaurs on this
Nope.
place. So you do have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour, right?
Yeah.
Hello? Anybody there?
so in the midst of all this, keep in mind we do have his grandchildren, who Hammond's grandchildren who are involved. I do love the subtle hints of they're talking about towards Sattler and Grant talking about kids at one point.
Yeah.
And the whole movie has you have this underlying theme too of like Grant doesn't want kids, but guess who's getting stuck with them during the worst possible scenario? The guy who doesn't want them.
Yeah.
Especially when what's his oh the little boy's name there, and he's asking all
Tim.
these questions. Yeah, Tim. So which vehicle are you taking, Tim? Whichever one you're in. He walks him over to the other one. He sits him down, shuts the door, and walks away.
But you really see how like unconnected to kids he is throughout the movie. Like even when they're climbing down the tree later on, again in the head again, but like when he's climbing down the tree, he's like, "Oh, your daddy ever build you a tree house?" No, damn it. He's like, this is where they see they finally get out of the Jeep and they're like, all right, we're gonna go find dinosaurs ourselves, and then that's when they see the sick Triceratops.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah, and I was like, this is when they start to see it, because it's before that storm starts.
Yep. This is what happens when I watched so many different I always end up watching like little sections of it rather than like the whole thing at the same time. I think the last time I did that was a while ago. But no, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like,
Sorry guys, I'm a fake fan.
No, you're not at all. Triceratops was one of those dinosaurs where I was like, damn it, I said I wish they'd had some action. I wish it wasn't just sick.
Yeah,
I think
having more.
Triceratops is up there with like T-Rex, like in terms of like notable dinosaurs, I think.
Yeah, and also if you think about it, they're also super powerful and like they're really good fighters, but you can't really see that, or you can't really get more into it because there's so minimal time for them. They're
like
more about the carnivore.
Like Triceratops is like definitely like top 3 like most dangerous like herbivores,
Yep.
I would say. But yeah, they're trying to figure out why the dinosaur's sick, and this is my absolute favorite line in the movie. Jeff Goldblum that is one big pile of shit. I can't tell you how many times I've said that throughout my life.
Also, another reason my dog is a dinosaur. That's exactly why I was late today.
Hope you didn't have to do the same exact thing though.
Similar, but not as bad. Didn't have to go elbow deep.
Right. If you see Dennis start to steal the embryos. I actually looked to see like the names of the dinosaurs he was taking. He was mostly taking ones of dinosaurs that were in the movie, except for one.
Mm-hmm.
There was one dinosaur that he took an embryo, but this dinosaur is not in the movie.
And what dinosaur was that?
It was Metrocanthosaurus. Who
Okay.
he's like kind of like a middle size like carnivore.
Okay.
So he's bigger than a raptor, but I don't think he's not bigger than a T-Rex.
Yep.
It's like, but I was like, that's an obscure one to put in there. Save it for maybe down the line.
Yeah, it kind of lets them build something potentially for the other movies.
Yeah,
and decide
exactly.
if they really want to use it or not.
This is where they realize Dennis Nedry like start to like mess up the park a lot. So like Samuel L. Jackson like goes to his workstation and he's trying to figure out what he's doing, access the main program, all that. And then
magic word.
But that scene was just, I don't know, always wicked funny to me.
Yep. I'm pretty sure a friend of mine had that as their ringtone for a couple months.
That'd be so annoying after a while.
It was.
I need to change it and make it that right now.
Yeah.
Anytime Charlene or Alex calls.
Yeah. I really am going to look into it after this.
Yes. I expect that to happen, and then I'm going to have to call at least like once a week so you could hear it.
No. Once a day. No, don't.
Once a day? Okay.
Make it get as much as you can out of this.
Yeah.
This will happen.
All right. Let me know when you do it.
Life finds a way.
Yeah. All right. Back to the film. Like they were, they're stuck in front of the T-Rex exhibit. This is where like the uneasiness starts, and like this is where you really like scare the hell out of the kids in 1993, and I love it.
This, for me, was the scene that frightened, like it scared the living shit out of me, especially because of the build. The thing is, what is really good about this whole scene right here is the build-up, how slow it takes. Every little thing painstakingly happens. And then and then it puts you in a position where they're fucked. Like, There is no...
100%.
They're done. That's it.
That lawyer knew right from the start, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, so, the stops, and it all starts with, obviously, the water. You see the water start rippling. Actually, we gotta go back. You have the goat. The goat's missing.
Yep.
Then the water starts to ripple. And all of a sudden, I think you kind of see right behind what's her name, the girl. You kind of see the face behind her.
Oh man.
Then you see the one that gets me is when the cables start to snap.
Yeah. After the lawyer runs to the bathroom, they just look over, and those things aren't electrified anymore.
Nope.
Yeah. And that whole scene, especially, now they're in the car, and you're like, okay, they're safe. Lexi, that was it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lexi, being the ignorant, dumb teenager she is, has the flashlight on.
Turn
She's
the light off.
screaming.
Turn the light off.
And then it starts hitting the car. Like, even
when
now,
he's attacking the car, I'm like,
Oh my
how
god.
does the glass not break?
Yes. It's like, I
I'm
mean,
like-
they probably did do like plexiglass or something
I'm
rather
like,
than
this must be a
regular.
very specific glass, like for these vehicles, probably. But I'm like, this glass is like not budging.
Bulletproof. I mean, it's
Yeah.
probably some sort of bulletproof sort of technology, which makes
Yeah.
sense. But also that whole entire, so this is the scene that I was talking about earlier where I had to hide when this happened. I knew the second you see the water ripple, I was like, nope, I'm not watching this, and I would run like under the covers and or
Yeah.
into a different room. I'm like, I can't watch this. I will say I still get spooked every time I watch this, and I'm like watching it like this, like that, like my hands are actually going to do anything. But I'm like, if I don't see the whole entire screen, I'll be less scared. But nope, I get jump scared every time.
I even watching this last night, I'll tell you, like my anxiety was like just up this whole like 5-10 minute period.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
especially, even when they flip the car and it starts, trying to rip it, and then Grant gets out with the flare, waving him down, and then Malcolm does the same thing for whatever reason.
This is like, even like not like movie aside, this is one of the best animatronics I've ever seen in a movie. This is a 12,000-pound animatronic that they used for the T-Rex.
Which is absolutely insane.
So I don't know if it's still there, but so 20 years ago, I went to California for the first time. I was 10 years old, and we went to Universal, and there's a Jurassic Park ride.
Yep.
Yes.
Over in LA, Anaheim, one of the two places. And it's just a raft. And mind you, I'm 10. My younger brother, Nick, he's 3 years younger than me. That makes him 7. Gets on the ride. We're both scrawny. We have like 2 feet between us and the bar. My mother, father, great uncle, great aunt, we're on this thing. As soon as you get through the gate closes. Nick's like, I don't want to be on this anymore. My father's like, you kind of missed the bus on that one. So you kind of float through, and you got the dinosaur. You got some of the animatronics. Which I would not be surprised if they were similar to what were used in the movie, because they still look pretty real.
I know that just as much money went into the park rides as the movie itself. I know that for a fact. Yeah,
because you go into a building. And you do have these velociraptors and whatnot. So towards the end of the ride, you start to just kind of float, and you're in this big room. And you have this countdown, 5, 4. Once one hits, this huge T-Rex coming at you, and the ramp is like pushed, and then it just drops you like five stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the T-Rex that like comes through the roof, right?
Yes.
Yep. It's still there. At least last time I went.
That's a great ride.
Yeah, I went in like 2014, and it was there, and I'm thinking it's still there. I know, John, you just went like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well,
I was just
Florida
down there a couple of weeks ago. I mean, they updated the ride to Jurassic World, but yeah, it's still pretty much the same. Solid ride. I remember it very well.
Well, yeah, what I was getting at there is like, I just remember being 10 years old, and it looked like the damn thing from the movie, and it was like frightening.
Yep.
One thing that's easy to miss when like the T-Rex is like when Ian Malcolm's running away with the flare, like and he like breaks into the bathroom. It's easy to miss, but you just see Ian go flying when the T-Rex like breaks through the bathroom. So like he's literally like on the top of the T-Rex's like head. And he's just you miss it easily because he's like dressed in all black and like it's dark and it's nighttime, but like he goes, and I'm like, oh, this is why his leg is absolutely shattered. I'm like, all right, that makes more sense, because I was like, oh, just some walls fell on him. That's all. But no, I was like, the T-Rex got a piece of him.
Oh man.
And then there was also
I have to rewatch that part.
there is also a very, very subtle line that is also iconic that happens in this scene that Grant says, which is when Lexi is still screaming like a lunatic, he grabs her, covers her mouth, and goes, "If you don't move, they won't see you.
Can't see us if you
can't
don't move."
move." Yeah.
Well, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, the T-Rex's vision is based on movement, sure, but I'm like, but he literally smells them right there in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you didn't. I don't know why like the T-Rex didn't think to just like chop him right there. But wait, let me find the part where like Dr. Malcolm goes flying.
It's just to build up.
Like I might slow it down, but like right here. He's right at the top of his
Oh
head.
wow. Wow, I wouldn't have even noticed that unless you told, unless you said that.
Yeah, I'm like, but I was like, all right, that's the problem that he has.
Yep.
Um, and then like Dennis is like trying. Dennis has the embryos and he's trying to move them to the ship, and I'm like, dude, I'm like, this IT guy cannot drive. But then again, I'm like, how well would I do in weather like that with no road and
Mud and
dark out?
water.
And I don't know.
I don't know. That isn't Jeep he's driving. So.
Well,
True.
didn't his like glasses fog up at some point too? Because I had that happen and it sucks. And who knows? He might have astigmatism like me too, where you can't see anything in the rain at night.
Yeah, I mean, he loses his glasses too.
Yeah.
And everything. And he ends up meeting a dinosaur at the worst time.
Yeah.
I don't know why I find it funny too when
He had it coming.
when
He
he
had it
falls
coming.
when he falls down that like hill to get to the tree. I just find the stupidest stuff like funny.
So I know he's trying to pull himself out, but I wanna think about this. He goes down a hill to latch a rope around a tree to climb up a hill because his Jeep is stuck.
Yeah, it's like, so the tree, I guess, is just. I mean, he'll make it down, but he just had to get that tire over that branch that it was stuck on.
Is that what it was? Okay, because I was like, look at him, like, why is he trying to pull himself down a hill?
So it was the fact that his like back tire was stuck on that big ass branch that was on the ground there. But still, yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from though. That's kind of weird.
I don't know. Again, these are little things. These are things where, as you know, as you get older, you notice these little things, and they don't really matter.
Yeah.
But you're like, I didn't notice that before. That's weird. Anyways, on with your dinos.
Right. Like, they find Tim like stuck in the tree, and like I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, there's absolutely no way I would be able to climb down a tree that fast.
Nope.
They do that in like record time.
Second.
Like even with the Jeep about to fall on them, I guess I would go pretty fast too.
Yeah. Adrenaline kicks in. It's funny thinking about it, like, realistically, obviously many things in this movie are not realistic.
Right.
But like the way that they do it though, as at least as a kid or as a general viewer, which I would consider myself as, I don't really tend to think too much about the physics. It's just like, yeah, that makes sense. Just do it.
Right.
Just escape, do what you can.
Why not?
But then it finally stops raining, and then like Dr. Sattler and then the hunter, Robert, he shows up, they show up and they find Dr. Malcolm, and they're like looking over like the damage and all that and everything. But then this is another memorable part when the T-Rex starts chasing them.
Mm-hmm.
We must go faster.
Objects in the mirror are closer than they appear.
Yeah. And I don't know. I remember this being like the best ride at when I was a kid at Chuck E. Cheese. Like, you ever do the Jurassic Park thing at Chuck E. Cheese?
Years ago.
You're
Wait,
sitting.
what?
There was a when at Chuck E. Cheese, like they had a Jurassic Park like ride like that you would sit in.
Hmm.
So like the main thing was you were in the Jeep, and the T-Rex was chasing you. So
Okay.
you had to keep shooting the T-Rex.
Okay, yeah, no, that I played that same thing at Dave and
Yeah.
Buster's.
Yeah, I remember like that was my favorite thing.
Yep.
But like, yeah, they used such a memorable scene, like made it just a game out of it.
Yes. It's still a very difficult game to beat. I've not beaten it.
Oh, I could never beat it.
But yeah, no, that I feel like this is also one of those scenes where you, no matter how many times you watch it, that anxiety level just goes up. I know you know exactly how it's going to end, but you're like, nope, they're going to die. They're just going to die.
Yeah, you're like, can a Jeep really outspeed this T-Rex? Let's see.
Gets close. It gets super close. And
Yeah.
like when I was watching, like Charlene said, even last night, and I'm like, come on.
Get him.
Fucking move! Like,
Don't look back, just go.
But yeah, the bad weather's like subsided. It's all gone, and like so like Dr. Grant and the kids are trying to find their way out of there, and they see that big giant herd of Gallimimus. One thing I noticed, I'm like, it kind of falls back to what you said earlier, Charlene. It's like, how did the Gallimimus not see this big T-Rex about to come at the herd? Like, they're so like shocked when it appears, like, and then one of them ends up being eaten.
Cinematic effect. That's all I can
Yeah.
say. They just want that dramatic effect there to create the scene. I mean, if they were being really realistic, it'd be like, oh, these things are really big. I can hear them from a mile away. But no,
Mm-hmm.
they're stealthy.
They save the T-Rex for like kind of the middle of the movie, but this is when you start to see the raptors show up.
Mm-hmm.
the next anxiety-inducing part of this film, might
when
I
they're
add.
trying to get Jurassic Park back online. So Samuel Jackson's character goes off to try to potentially fix it, but he's taking way too long to do this. So Dr. Sadler goes out, and they go out and look for him. You know what I found when she's running to the shed, I feel like they used the same shot twice.
I'd
Like
have
when
to go back and watch that.
she like jumps
Yeah.
over that branch,
Mhm.
and I swear it's the same shot two times, like twice in a row.
Yeah,
I'll
here,
have to
so-
look back too. I don't know if you already have it up, but I do remember there are like a lot of iconic movies that do reuse shots just because budget and like editing
Yeah.
and timing and whatnot. So like I wouldn't be surprised, but knowing Jurassic Park and like how high budget it was, I guess in one way, is I don't think they would have done that. I wouldn't expect it from them.
I'll have to find it. I mean, I can't find
Yeah.
it on here, but I'll have to go back and look again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just more stress once the raptors pop up. She gets the park back online. But then again, you have them. They're trying to climb over that electric fence, and like Tim, I'm like, how did this kid survive that shock? 10,000 volts. I mean, initially he's like not responding at first, but still, he survived.
Let's be real right now. If there's anything not realistic about this movie, it's that. Especially when it says 10,000 volts
Yeah.
in the body of a 10-year-old. That's
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like nobody's
That's
bouncing
instant
back
cardiac arrest or
from that
something.
shock, and that height too. Not even the shock, the height.
He also gets blown away like what, 7 feet, 10 feet from the fence. First it goes boom and then boom.
He's
Yep.
just. I'm like, I think he'll need a lot more than CPR to fix him. But you kind of get like that feeling there where it's like everything's like kind of like hunky dory, like they're sitting down, they're eating, and then raptors in the kitchen.
Oh my, yeah. This scene, the raptors in the kitchen is.
You know how much.
Jello.
You know how
Jello.
much terror is in this girl when the Jello is just shaking.
So the crazy thing about, yes, when Robert gets killed by the raptors.
Yep.
In that scene where they
Clever
come out from
girl.
the side. Yeah, the clever. Yeah, that. You kind of go, okay, cool. They're animal instincts. But when they're in the kitchen now you get to see the intelligence of what these things can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They're not just, oh yeah, they're out in the wild. No, they're
They
super
can open
smart.
a door.
They can open. Yeah, they open a door, and it's frightening.
Terrifying. I just remember I like have that scene engraved in my head when you can just see the arm just go for the door. And I'm
Yep.
like, nope, nope. And then it happens, and you're like, no.
Yeah, how many? This scene, probably more than the T-Rex scene, when I was a little kid, was definitely the scene where I'm like, these kids are done. Like, the T-Rex, sure,
Yeah.
they can crawl under wherever. These things are smart, and these things are going to get into every little crevice. Especially when Lexi's trying to close the door down, and the thing right into the side of the table there in the kitchen.
Boom. Yeah. Yeah, that actually knocked that raptor unconscious for a little bit, I think. Well, not unconscious, but like definitely messed it up for a little bit.
Going back to the Jello for a second, every time I watch this scene, I just want green Jello. And now talking about it, I'm like, I just want green Jello.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's definitely like she just shakes that Jello violently. But I mean, I don't blame her. There's literally raptors right there.
Yep.
But yeah, they're trying to escape from these raptors, but like they managed to close that door. One thing that was weird, I'm like, all right, Dr. Grant's got a gun, and like you see the holes in the window, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, did he kill the raptor? I'm like, obviously he didn't, because like the raptor pops up through the vent. So I learned that he doesn't.
No, because they
He
come
misses.
crashing through. Yeah. So interestingly enough, and this is something you mentioned, the bullet holes. You hear the gun go off, but when they show the gun, it's a shotgun, and there are shotgun shells.
Yeah.
That's one of those other things where like that actually that was one of the few things I watched, and I'm like, that was a shotgun. There should be spread on. There should not be a window. Why are there bullet holes?
This is the same. No, it's the same glass they use for the Jeep.
But
for the T-Rex.
And this is another thing, and again, maybe it's 2021. I'm being more thoughtful, but you would think maybe just in case, especially if they were trying to protect their prop, and even looking from a business perspective, if you are trying to protect your intellectual property, you would think maybe you'd want bulletproof glass.
Yeah.
You have this industrial lock. Like, I don't even know if that's a real lock. Like, it's like, it like shuts, and then you have glass.
One weird thing is, when they're in the air duct, and when she's like hanging from the air duct, so I think that's a stunt double, like her stunt double. But what they had to do was the stunt double accidentally like looked at the camera when they were filming that shot, So they had to CGI over the double's face, so that
Huh.
way nobody like realized that.
I'll have to watch that scene again too, just to be like,
Her
how
face
good is?
does look weird in the scene,
Yeah.
and it's something you don't really notice.
Mhm. Interesting.
Yeah, but yeah,
I
now we're I mean, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying I feel like I need to like find a book or an article about this like behind the scenes aspect of Jurassic World a little bit more. Jurassic Park a little bit more and Jurassic World.
Yeah,
Because I'd like to know like more about the masterminds behind this and like
yeah,
how it was created, especially with Jurassic Park being so advanced for the time period.
Wait,
Um,
I do
I
have it right
yeah.
there. My finger is. I will bring it this weekend so you can borrow it.
um, you know what's funny? It's as much of like a staple in like cinema. This movie is the dinosaurs are only in it for 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, and this is a 2-hour movie too.
I feel like there's just so much like dinosaur noise and rustling too that there's probably more
Yeah,
like dinosaur presence than
What?
15 minutes.
Well,
But like
also,
I understand on screen.
well, prior to Jurassic Park, and I'm not talking about the clay animated stuff you had in the 50s and the 60s, or the Godzilla films. Take Godzilla out of the whole picture here. What other movie focused on dinosaurs like this prior to Jurassic Park?
Land was Land Before Time after that?
It was before, but that was also like animated. I'm talking like a
Yeah,
real, live
real.
action film. Actually,
live action.
even
I mean,
even after, I mean, how many movies that aren't from the Sci-Fi Channel are like? There's not really many.
not a lot. I mean, I can think of stuff from like the 50s and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like way before this movie came out.
So what I'm saying is, I mean, even if it's 15 minutes, it does feel like a. I mean, imagine you seeing this in the theater for the first time, and even from the T-Rex scene, the Velociraptor scene, you get the little shots here and there's all these dinosaurs. It's pretty exciting, especially because they
Oh
look
yeah.
so real.
Yeah, I
Huh.
think the 15 minutes thing, it's not something that hurts the movie. It's just I think it's just a surprising um observation from the movie because you don't really think you're like, wow, really 15 minutes? It doesn't feel like 15 minutes.
I had to Google this because I was very curious. A lot of movies that are live action, if they have dinosaurs, it's literally a second or like a minute, like for
Mm.
land, like for Journey to the Center of Earth, or there's the movie Dinosaur by Disney,
Oh,
which
man, I saw that in theaters.
which is pretty like CGI. I don't think it's actually like
No, that's CGI.
Yeah.
yeah, that's like CGI,
I think
but like yeah.
now, well, I think the difference between back then and now is now you're starting to really get a demand for like we want more screen time for these not human characters. So I think for the next I think for Jurassic World Dominion next year, you're gonna see dinosaurs a lot in that movie.
I mean, I know the focus of that one's supposed to be like dinosaurs in our everyday world, so I'm
Yep.
really interested to see what that's going to entail because even from like I guess teasers you can tell it's going to be a lot of dinosaurs.
Yeah, especially from that like that small preview that they're doing. Like it looks like they don't show a single person.
You know? Mm,
I don't think they do.
I'm trying to
You know what?
remember.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I won't see the whole. It's only a fraction of what they're showing with
Yeah.
Fast and Furious 9, which is, but still, yeah. I mean, back to Jurassic Park. It's like, um, just a stamp of a movie.
Yeah.
Just put such a huge stamp on cinema
Mhm.
and made dinosaurs just like so much. just cemented dinosaurs into popular culture, like I said earlier.
Yep.
Very important movie that ended up with about to be 5 sequels.
And I was reading, 1, 2, 3, 4. I was reading that this isn't the
Oh, yeah,
last
5
sequel
sequels.
either.
What's
They
that?
said
Oh, really?
Yeah, nope. They said last year that they're going to be making more.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I think one of
How
the
many times do you need to do dinosaurs to learn that it's not a good idea?
look, we haven't gotten to dinosaur battles in space yet. Once we do
Right.
dinosaur battles in space, then we can call it quits.
If Jason Voorhees can go to space, they can bring dinosaurs to space.
Ah, Jason X, classic. But I think one of my favorite things about this movie is the way this movie ends, where they get on the helicopter. Grant's sitting there with the 2 kids, just like passed out, and it just silence. The helicopter goes off, fades.
Yep.
You don't need to say. You don't need anything else after that. It just perfect way to end that film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just like, get off the island, you're good. That's all that matters. Now we just have an island full of free dinosaurs.
Yeah, I mean, a nice ending to a pretty crazy movie.
Yeah. I feel like it's also like a lot of the action feels like it's spread out but condensed at the same time in this movie, that like
Yeah.
by the time you get to the end of the movie, it's like, oh wait, it's over. And it's like a good ending where it kind of doesn't leave you on, it doesn't leave too much unanswered, that, but it leaves enough for there to be a sequel.
It leaves it open ended, but it doesn't
Yeah.
leave it. Yeah, no,
You don't
Yeah,
need
it
a
does.
sequel. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a sequel wasn't like Steven Spielberg probably didn't expect a sequel for this because
Mm-hmm.
it took 4 years after that
So
to do
interestingly,
one.
so I don't know if you guys know this. So the guy who wrote the book, Michael Crichton,
Yeah.
he wrote the book in '90. The movie came out in '93 because I guess the book was popular. Michael Crichton did not write the book The Lost World until after the movie, like that came coincided with the second movie
Yeah.
because of how popular Jurassic Park was.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Which kind of shows you that, like, they really weren't going for a sequel. It wasn't trying to be a series. It wasn't trying to be like, it wasn't trying to be, I'm trying to think about a series that just did not want to die. I mean, Fast and Furious, I guess, is just sequel after sequel
Yeah.
after sequel, but like,
Yeah.
those are pretty good.
Yeah, Jurassic Park was just one where it was like, I think they were kind of thinking like, all right, how do we do more? And that's why there was like such a long time between movies. 4 movies. I mean, 4 years for a second movie, 4 years for a third movie.
Yep.
But then after that, 14 years for
Yep.
another movie.
Yep. And that came out in what, 2015 was the first one?
Yeah, for Jurassic World, yeah.
Yep.
with good old Chris Pratt,
Good old Chris Pratt.
Lord
Yeah.
and Savior.
But like to close it out here, like Jurassic Park, like this movie just created like a franchise for me. Was just like, you put out anything with this, like with this franchise on it, like I'm probably going to enjoy it.
Yep. And the
I
thing
know
is, and the
I know some people are like questionable about like Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but I was like, you know what? It was fine. I didn't
I
hate
didn't
it.
hate it. Yeah.
But Sam feels otherwise. But
I have my gripes with that film.
right,
If you like it, great. But I think it was more plot related that kind of got me.
Yeah. It was. I feel like I feel like it's a middleman movie, if that makes sense. It's one of those movies where I'm hoping the next one's going to be a lot better, but they needed the second one in order to kind of bring that third one into fruition.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the case. I don't know. We just gotta wait and see. I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna go see this new one because I didn't care for the second one. If I get a
Yeah.
chance to see dinosaurs on the big screen and eat people, yes, I'm going to pay $20 to sit there, eat a full bucket of popcorn before the movie starts, and then watch people get annihilated. God bless America.
You're right.
I'm honestly like, I will say I was super excited for the first Jurassic World when it came out because it had been so long. Everyone had like high expectations. Like if they're bringing this back and like Steven Spielberg like is on board with it, it has to be good, right? And then the second one, I was excited about it, but then when I watched it, it kind of like, I will say it was not as exciting as I wanted it to be. So with this third one, I'm trying to go in with no expectation of it being great or being mediocre. But again, it's like Sam had mentioned, regardless of if it's going to be good or bad, I'm still going to go see it. I'm still going to be excited about it. I will still probably wear some sort of Jurassic Park dinosaur outfit and enjoy myself. And,
Definitely.
definitely this is one of those movies where if I have kids in the future, I'm going to show them every single one.
Yep.
Every single one. And another great thing about these movies is like, you don't need to pay attention to every minor detail to fall in love with the movie. There are so many things about it that you can be obsessed about, whether it's the science aspect or the animatronics aspect, if it's the actors, the actresses, the music. For me, I think what really drew me to this movie and to these movies in general was the score.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I started being like, maybe I should give this a chance again, because when I was younger, I was too scared to watch it. And like, I kept hearing the song and I was like, the song is a jam. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try.
Yeah.
And I kept watching it and watching it. And like, it's not like cable lets you not watch it because it's on TV all the time. I feel like it's one of those things, actually, for me and Alex, when we were trying to rewatch it a few days ago, we realized none of our streaming services that we have had it available. So we were like, okay, let's turn on the cable and see if it's playing anywhere.
It was
And lo and behold, it was already like 20 minutes in
it was
on.
literally on Sci-Fi.
Yeah, it was
last
on
night.
USA
Yeah.
for us. So like,
Yeah.
it was definitely one of those things where it's like, no matter what day it is, it's most likely going to be on TV at some point that day.
So the one I watched through, I do have Peacock because I got like a deal. It was like 3 months for $6 or something. So it was on there. Actually, they had the whole series on there, which
Yes.
I might want to go back and watch Lost World. That was another one I was iffy about. But, you know, this one, obviously a classic, untouchable.
Yeah, a lot of people to thank for, making dinosaurs such a big thing into what it is now. John Williams giving dinosaurs a theme song, essentially. It just pops into your head whenever you hear it. Steven Spielberg, everybody on board with the film, actors and all, just making
Kathleen Kennedy before she destroyed Star Wars.
Yes, even her. But just bringing dinosaurs to life, in a way that like nobody's going to forget.
Yep.
And like it's what Jurassic Park will always be known for.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's been a pretty nice first episode here. Pretty enjoyable. Talked about, a hell of a movie. Definitely. Jurassic Park. Let us know your thoughts on Jurassic Park. Thanks for listening to the podcast here. You can find this, the video version on YouTube. We'll have the audio format here on, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts or on Podbean, which is what the podcast will mostly be based off of. Thank you guys for listening. Definitely a fun first episode for us. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Charlene, for taking the time to talk about a fun movie.
And thank you, John, for having us. This is great.
All right, guys. We will see you for the next episode.